By the time I returned to China, fresh off graduation, Willow still hadn't let go of her new boyfriend. For the first time in my life, she stood me up because of him. I walked out of the airport expecting to see her, but instead, it was Maria, her best friend, waiting for me. She waved with that playful smile of haze, the kind that lit up her delicate features, though her eyes carried something heavier, something she tried to hide. Willow-jie's boyfriend is sick, she said softly, so she's with him. Let's go. I didn't even look at her. Instead, I pulled out my phone to call the butler. But before the line could connect, Maria snatched the phone right out of my hand, ended the call, and practically shoved me toward her car. You really don't want to see me, hey? She teased with a pout, but I caught the redness in her eyes. I kept my voice steady. Maria, you're my fiancé's best friend. That only made her smile more daring, her gaze like silk threads wrapping around me. Your fiancé already has a boyfriend, she whispered. Doesn't that mean you can find a girlfriend too? I stayed silent, and she climbed into the car, her pout deepening. Then my phone rang. Willow. She told me she had pleaded with her father for days and finally secured a $20 million investment for me, a guilt-driven gesture that I couldn't help but accept. Her voice turned soft, cautious. I'm sorry, something came up. I couldn't make it. Have you already left the airport? I answered simply, yeah. And then a man's voice groaned in pain on her end. Before I could react, the call went dead. Do you want me to keep the business ambition undertones about the Liu Corporation woven in subtly here, like a narrator dropping hint, or keep this part purely emotional and personal? From the corner of her eye, Maria glanced at me, her voice low, testing. Even after everything, you're still going to marry her? I arched an eyebrow. Do you really think I'm marrying just her? Her lips curled, bold and almost too blunt. What's so good about Willow anyway? My family's not weaker than the Lius. If you need to choose someone, why not choose me? At least I'm cleaner than she is. I met her gaze, my voice dark, steady. The Liu family only has one daughter. That silenced her. At the welcome banquet, Willow walked in late, her neck marked with glaring hickeys for the entire world to see. The room fell into whispers. I almost laughed. How could anyone be this careless? This wasn't rebellion. This was self-destruction. Her parents' fury was merciless. Willow was forced to kneel in the living room for 2 nights straight, their disappointment echoing louder than any punishment. Only when I stepped in, pleading on her behalf, was she finally released. And because of those marks, our engagement was moved forward. Later, she turned to me, guilt softening her voice. George, please don't be mad. It's not what you think. I handed her an ointment, my expression calm, almost bored. Mad? About what? It's not like I actually like you. Her eyes froze, wide, wounded, though she tried to hide it. I looked at her face, the same face that once tugged at my heart but now left me cold. Willow, this is a business marriage. Nothing more. You don't need to apologize. She frowned, her tone sulky, defensive. You're right. It's just business. Liking each other doesn't matter. I packed the kid away, smirking faintly. Why the sulking, then? If I didn't already know about your boyfriend, I might have thought you were actually interested in me. Her eyes widened. You knew? I laughed. Did she really think I was blind? Those marks, what else could they be? That's not the point. The point is, we live our separate lives, but don't drag it home. Grandma's old, and if a scandal breaks out, the stock price takes a hit. She pulled the tie from her hair in frustration. There's nothing going on between us. He and I could never. I cut her off. No need to explain. The Civil Affairs Bureau is still open. Let's get the certificate. And just like that, we did. The paperwork was swift, clinical. On the way, her phone buzzed 7, 8 times. Makoto. In the end, she shut it off, her irritation bubbling over. What are your plans now that you're back? She finally asked. I told her the truth. The elders want us to have a child soon. Her face flushed, ears tinged red. Her voice faltered. I'm not ready. I smiled faintly. There's nothing to prepare for. Just remember, what I want is a child of the Wang family." Her eyes sharpened, stormy with anger. "George, what do you mean by that?" I didn't bother to answer. She was smart enough to understand. I didn't care who stood beside me at the altar, as long as the family behind her carried weight, power, influence. Compared to love, which fades and betrays, I'd rather give my child wealth that lasts for generations. The Wang and Liu names together, that was the only legacy worth leaving. While Willow retreated to bed, I headed straight for the company. The Lius handed me one of their subsidiaries, a failing mess they called a training opportunity. Conveniently, it was in the same industry as my own family's. To them, it was a test. To me, it was a battlefield. But as I stepped into the car with my stack of documents, I found my path blocked. Makoto, dressed in a sharp suit that looked borrowed rather than owned, every move of his was exaggerated, like he was rehearsing someone else's role. His eyes seemed clear, almost naive, but beneath that surface, I saw ambition lurking, raw and hungry. The kind that might fool Willow, but never me. He stood straight, enunciating each word as if reading from a script. "Hello, Mr. Wang. I'm Willow's boyfriend. My name is Makoto." I barely looked up, flipping through reports that screamed sabotage from the old guard. Petty politics, classic moves. His voice grew tighter. "Mr. Wang, are you so guilty you can't even look me in the eye?" Finally, I glanced at him. "What do you want?" He smiled too perfectly, hiding cracks beneath. "This isn't the best place to talk. There's a cafe nearby." So we went. Coffee was set on the table, steam rising. I asked for a pen, circling loopholes in the files, sending instructions to my secretary while Makoto sat there, waiting. The silence stretched, eating at his composure. That flawless smile started to crumble. Then, at last, he spoke. "Mr. Wang," you stuttered abroad, "you must understand free will, personal dignity. Surely you're against arranged marriages." And for the first time, I felt a question mark hang in the air. I looked at him like he completely lost his mind. Why would I be against it? Do you have any idea how much money this marriage is worth? I'm not insane. Why would I throw that away? Do I look like the kind of man who'd trade fortune for pride? He froze, disbelief written all over his face. "But she doesn't even like you. Don't you see? This isn't just hurting us. It's hurting you too. Is money really worth sacrificing happiness?" For a moment, I said nothing. Then I leaned forward, voice sharp, deliberate. "Money is my happiness. Does it matter if she likes me? With enough money, there will always be people who do." His jaw tightened, his voice rising. "Feelings built on money are fake. They disappear the second it's gone." I chuckled, slow and mocking, and took a sip of coffee. "Oh, how noble. Then tell me, what kind of feelings don't disappear? Looks fade with age. Intellect changes with time. People change. And when people change, so do their feelings. So really, what's the difference?" Then I sneered, leaning back. And hearing that kind of idealism from a man living off his girlfriend, that's rich. His fist slammed the table, his face red with humiliation. "How dare you? I deliver food 12 hours a day. I earn my money with my own hands." I leaned back casually, my words sharp as knives. "Quit the act. That suit, that watch, you couldn't afford them if you delivered until your wheels were on fire. What are you, some kind of wannabe performer? Is it not exhausting pretending to be this hard-working underdog? Here's some advice. If you live off a woman, don't talk to me about independence. It's laughable. At best, you're useless. And pretending only makes you look dumb and useless." His rage boiled over. He snatched the coffee cup and smashed it at me. Hot liquid burned across my hand. If I hadn't blocked it, the glass would have shattered across my face. In that instant, I stood. My hand gripped his collar, and I drove 2 hard punches into his nose. My voice dropped to ice. "The marriage between the Wang and Liu families is public news. Try using your brain before you speak. Or is proving how stupid you are that urgent?" I shoved him back. "Come at me again, and it won't just be 2 punchies." Just then, my phone rang. "Liu mother. George, the items have been delivered. Do you have time to come by now? I released Makoto, grabbed my suit jacket, and walked out, replying calmly, "Yes, Auntie, I'm on my way." When I arrived, she noticed a burn on my hand, her face tight with concern. "What happened to you?" I smiled faintly. Just some idiot stirring up drama. He was spreading rumors about Willow, even asked me to give her up to him. I couldn't let that slide, so I taught him a lesson. "It's nothing, Auntie. Let's focus on business." What I meant was clear. I had no intention of wasting my time cleaning up her daughter's mess. My energy was for the empire I was building, nothing else. Later that night, I found Willow on the balcony, her voice sharp over the phone. "Makoto, are you insane? What were you thinking? He hit you? You deserved it. Who do you think you are? He's my husband. And you're nothing. What were you going to marry me with? No money, no future. You think you're worthy of me? I must have really spoiled you." When she turned and saw me, her eyes softened. She hung up immediately and walked over, her tone gentle. "George, how's your hand?" "It's fine. The doctor took care of it." She sighed, guilt in her voice. "What happened with Makoto is my fault. Actually." I cut her off coldly. "Yes, it was your fault. And I don't want it next time. If my face or my hands get hurt, it affects my work. Neither you nor he can afford those consequences." She pressed her lips together, whispering, "You should rest. I'll handle the wedding preparations." I didn't even look up from my laptop. "Keep it simple. I don't have time for details. Do it yourself." Her voice sharpened. "George, I have work too." I laughed under my breath. "Funny, you've got time for romance, but no time for a wedding? Then forget it. We're already legally married. The ceremony is just for show." Her eyes filled with tears she refused to shed. "George, are you saying this out of anger, or do you mean it?" I looked up, my expression flat. "I mean it. Time is money, and I don't waste either on arguments. You're not worth it." She slammed the door on her way out. Minutes later, the sound of her car engine echoed into the night. The next morning, my secretary pulled up. "Mr. Wang, the funds have been secured. The meeting starts at 8 sharp." As we pulled into the company entrance, there he was again, Makoto, persistent, pathetic. My irritation spiked instantly. I dialed Willow, my voice sharp. "Are you blind? Look at the trash you dragged into our lives. He's here again, showing up at my work. Do you think I'm as idle as you are?" Makoto turned at the sound of my voice. His face crumpled, tears spilling as he stumbled toward me. "Mr. Wang, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." And for once, I was speechless. Both of his hands were wrapped in thick bandages, so clumsy and swollen he looked like a pathetic knockoff of Doraemon. Willow's cold voice cut through the phone. "You see now? Satisfied, young Master Wang?" I muttered under my breath. "You're both out of your damn minds." After buying back the company share from those leeches, I threw myself into wake. My secretary began recruiting under my orders, and that evening, while I was still buried in overtime, Willow showed up. "There are a few details about the wedding I need to discuss with your parents," she said. "I'll go with you tonight." My fingers froze over the keyboard. I gave a stiff hum, grabbed my coat, and led her to the garage. In the car, I noticed the bag she carried. Clothes, jewelry, skincare products, all meant as gifts to my mother. My frown was instinctive. Is that really necessary? I don't want to spend money on her. Willow looked at me quietly. "No matter what, she's still your mother." We drove in silence. When we arrived, the courtyard was empty. But when the fingerprint scanner flashed invalid, the anger I'd been choking back finally broke loose. I ignored Willow's hand tugging at me and called someone to break the lock. And when the door opened, there she was, my mother, smiling warmly, chatting sweetly with my father's illegitimate son, asking if he was tired from work, if he was eating well. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. Rage burned through me. Ever since I'd left home, she had never once called me. But here she was, doting on the bastard child of my father's mistress. Was this normal? No. It was twisted. It was cruel. I forced the words out, slow and heavy, like a stray dog kicked too many times. Let's go. There's nothing worth discussing here. But Willow clutched my arm, anger flashing in her eyes. This is your home. If anyone should leave, it's him. Sensing the tension, my father quickly sent Martin away. My mother's smile faltered, but she covered it fast and came over, pretending nothing was wrong. She said she prepared something for Willow, but everything in that house made my skin crawl. I could barely stand it. Patting Willow's hand gently, I whispered, "I'll wait in the car." But by the time she came back down, I had already gotten into a fight with Martin. You see, my mother's story was its own tragedy. She was the only daughter of my maternal grandparents, a wealthy heiress who gave it all up, her family, her childhood sweetheart, her future, for the man she loved. My father. She nearly died for him. She drove my grandmother to an early grave because of him. And she destroyed a perfectly good family business, all because she couldn't let go. When the company's funding collapsed, it wasn't my mother who saved us. It was Mrs. Liu, her lifelong friend. If not for her, we would have gone bankrupt. The year I took my high school entrance exams, everything came crashing down. My grandparents pass away. My father seized full control. And the woman he'd been keeping outside brought her son into our house, a boy the same age as me. From then on, my mother clung to me every day, crying, asking what she would do if my father stopped loving her. I was sick of it. One night, I snapped. I climbed over the wall, beat the hell out of my father's mistress, then took a steel pipe and broke my father's leg. I even screamed at my mother, called her a coward. And what did she do? She didn't stand by me. She slapped me, twice. She dragged me to the hospital and forced me to apologize. "You ungrateful son," she screamed. "No matter what he's done, he's still your father. How dare you lay a hand on him?" That was it. My anger broke loose. I slapped her back, hard. If it's your husband, if it's your marriage, then why the hell are you dumping it on me? You chose this. You deserve it. After that, Martin started haunting me, showing up outside my school, mocking me, taunting me. "Look, Dad just bought me a new game console. Bet you don't have one. This car key? Dad gave it to me for my birthday. Where was he on your birthday? With me. Dad hates you. He said everything in the Wang family will be mine. You'll get nothing. I'll kick you out sooner or later." And he'd grin, like a little devil who knew he could get away with it. I hit him, every time. He was bigger, stronger, and he'd beat me bloody, but I didn't care. I took it all, gritting my teeth, refusing to break. My mother never once asked about my bruises, never once cared. She was too busy crying, too busy begging that mistress to give her husband back. Calling her a coward was the only thing I never regretted. Later, Martin took it further. He smashed his own head and blamed me, said I attacked him. And my mother? She believed him. She signed the papers with my father's hand guiding Hayes and had me committed to a psychiatric hospital. There were nights I thought of ending it all. Nights I thought I couldn't keep breathing. But then another thought kept me alive. All of them, every last one of them, was still alive, still breathing easy. So why should I be the one to die? No, I would live. Even if it meant clawing through every day with blooded hands, I would live, because I hadn't buried any of them yet. And now, Martin lay groaning on the floor, his body broken. I stared down at him, my voice cold, almost trembling with years of rage. All those years abroad, I trained every single day for this. Then I smashed his head against the floor. He had beaten me down so many times before, with his size, with his strength, that when I finally struck back, I couldn't stop. Blow after blow, like years of pain pouring out of me at once. Willow rushed in, panicked, pulling me off him. My fists were bloody, trembling. She pressed tissues to my knuckles, whispering, "That's enough, George. Calm down. For trash like him, why stain your own hands?" One phone call from her, and within minutes 3 bodyguards dragged Martin down the hall. His screams echoed as they hauled him away. Even when I climbed into the car, my hands wouldn't stop shaking. I had imagined this moment 1,000 times, the day I'd finally stand up to him. In my head, I was calm, unbreakable. But the truth? I was trembling. I wasn't nearly as strong as I thought. Willow clung to me, her voice soft against my ear. It's okay now. It's over. No one will ever lay a hand on you again. Her words split something inside me wide open. Memories came flooding back. The bruises, the silence, my mother turning away as if I didn't matter. But Willow, she cared. She had avenged me. Martin left with 3 broken ribs, 2 missing teeth, and a permanent lisp. Back then, she and I weren't even engaged. We barely had a relationship. And still, she chose to fight for me. She gave me a teasing smile, brushing it off as if it was nothing. George, don't get emotional now. It was nothing. Then, leaning her head on my shoulder, she whispered, Remember back in middle school? Remember what a disgusting jerk he was. That was it. I broke. Tears streamed down my face, my chest hollow, my body numb. And when I finally found my voice, it came out like venom. I shoved her away, hatred burning in my eyes. Willow, I spat, my voice trembling. The most disgusting person was you. Because out of everyone who had ever hurt me, she was the one I hated the most. The scene shifted years later, to our wedding. It was grand, the kind of ceremony that made headlines. Maria stood beside Willow as a bridesmaid, but her eyes never left me. In the lounge, she caught my hand. What do I have to do for you to choose me instead? I didn't even flinch. My voice was cold. If you can inherit your family's business empire, then maybe. She dropped her gaze, laughed bitterly. You really are a practical man. I didn't deny it. She gripped my arm, desperate. I don't care. When you marry again, it has to be me. I turned away. Maria had always been spoiled, the overlooked daughter in a family where her brother would inherit everything. Her mother gone too soon, her father remarried. She was a shadow in her own home. Meanwhile, I waited in the bridal suite, buried in work even on my wedding day. Since restructuring, my company's sales had begun to recover, but there was no room to relax. Not when every day was a fight for survival. On my mother's side, things were no better. She had dragged Martin, the same Martin, into the company to gain experience. Ever since his mother, my father's mistress, died in that crash, my mother had gone so far as to claim him as her own son. Grandfather's shares, once divided equally between her and me, were now already half in Martin's hands. I even contacted a Taoist priest, convinced my mother must be cursed, her soul stolen the way she clung to that boy. Willow's story wasn't without shadows either. She was only 3 when her older brother was kidnapped and killed. From then on, the Liu family wrapped her life in secrecy. She was hidden, her name changed, her presence erased from public view. I still remember the day I found out who she really was. I sat in the car outside her house as my mother went in to thank Mrs. Liu. I saw their maid running after Willow, calling her little princess. That was the day I knew Willow wasn't just some sickly, temperamental classmate. She was a Liu family's heir. So I dragged my desk next to Hayes and told her, I'll sit with you. She looked at me like I was crazy. Why? Because you're pretty, I said. Her ears turned red. She snapped, embarrassed. Say that again and I'll hit you. I played the fool, trying to make her laugh, but she always rolled her eyes. Still, sometimes, just sometimes, I caught her blushing. Our relationship stayed lukewarm for years, until the earthquake. I shielded her, my body broken in the process. Her parents, strict and traditional, saw what I had sacrificed. And in that moment, everything changed. They saw a half-crippled, half-blind boy who would bleed for their daughter. And so, they proposed marriage. Her mother held my hand, eyes full of tears. I know who you are. Willow speaks of you often. When everyone else left her, you stayed. For me, it wasn't just marriage. It was survival. The Liu family's wealth meant protection. For me, for my crumbling household. My parents planned to lock me away in a psychiatric ward. Gone. That mistress my father kept. She'd never dream of becoming part of us. And that bastard son who haunted me, as long as I lived, he'd never win. He was never going to get a cent of the inheritance. That much was certain. But what shocked me wasn't that. It was Willow, proud, Spoiled Willow, who had always looked down on me, actually agreeing to the arranged marriage without a fight. Those 6 months I was blind, everything about her began to change. The girl who used to nap through class suddenly leaned forward in every lesson. The one who never cared to take notes sat by my hospital bed every day, teaching me, feeding me, rambling about school gossip as if it mattered more than air. The distance between us, once a wall, slowly softened, and sometimes I caught something in her eyes. A flicker, words she wanted to say but swallowed back. Me? I was drawn to her world, her family, her background. I had an agenda, always did. My feelings weren't pure. I was gambling everything, my health, my sanity, just to carve out a future where I could stand beside her and not be dismissed. If I wanted to be worthy of Willow, it wasn't enough to cling to her. I had to build a name that would make her parents proud to claim me. So the moment I recovered, I went mad, studying like a man possessed, barely eating, barely sleeping, until the college entrance exams came out, and I had beaten Willow's score by over 200 points. The Liu family celebrated me as their own. They held a banquet, called me their future son-in-law, held my hand in front of everyone as if I belonged. I went on to study economics and finance at one of the best universities. Later, I went abroad, and all that time, Willow's parents, both workaholics, never stopped calling, never stopped checking in, never let me feel abandoned. They supported me in ways my own family never did. Slowly, dangerously, I began to blur the lines between ambition and affection, because in their house, there was no yelling, no fists, no fear, only warmth, the kind of warmth I had never known. They noticed everything about me, down to the smallest detail. I hated scallions and ginger, and without me saying a word, every meal placed in front of me came without them. Even at restaurants, they'd whisper to the waiter, "Make his dishes without scallions or ginger." It was overwhelming, terrifying, even, yet I craved it. I was a sore rat sneaking glimpses into a home that wasn't mine, and even scraps of their affection that wasn't truly meant for me, were enough to make me risk everything. I used to believe I was unbreakable, cold, sharp, a blade that nothing could bend. But one gentle sentence from Willow's mother shattered me. She said, "George, more than anything, your uncle and I just want you to take care of yourself. Do what makes you happy. This is your home. We're your safety net. Become the version of yourself you love." I broke down, jealous, envious, because Willow had been loved all her life, and I had never been. And yet, somewhere along the way, even I had begun to love her, until Maria sent me that photo. Willow, in another man's arms. One look, and I broke. Rage, heartbreak, everything I had buried tore through me. That was when I finally understood. I cared for her far more deeply than I ever admitted. She had pulled me out of the mud, changed the course of my life, and then crushed me with her own hands. If she had never chosen me, maybe I could have lived with it. If she had always betrayed me, maybe I could have accepted it. But no, she made me believe. She gave me hope. She made me want a future. And then she destroyed it. For the longest time, my dream was simple. Graduate, marry Willow, have children, build a company, live a life of warmth. Ordinary, peaceful. I even gave up on revenge against my own parents, just for the chance of that future. But that dream is gone now. Because I've learned the truth, anything filled by others, love, warmth, belonging, will collapse the moment they take it back. If I want to survive, if I want to be whole, I have to patch that hollow inside me myself. I won't fall for Willow again. I refuse to be a fool twice. I won't let family warmth suffer me into weakness. Never again. I steadied my weak body, forcing out a laugh that sliced through the tears streaming down Willow's face. "Don't touch me, Willow," I said coldly. "Your tears, they are sticking to my skin. They are filthy." We were both filthy, weren't we? The only difference was my hands had always been stained, my soul fractured. But, she still glowed, radiant and untouchable, like a star burning in the night sky. Time moved forward. Willow's parents retired early, leaving the company in our hands. They spent their days in the comfort of family, chasing laughter with their grandchildren. Not even 2 months after the wedding, Willow became pregnant. She stayed home, gentle and obedient, waiting for the child we both expected. I still remember the day the babies were born. Twins. Everyone's faces lit up with joy. But me? It felt like a boulder pressed against my chest. Not relief. Not happiness. Not until I secretly plucked strands of their hair and ran a DNA test. Only when the results proved they were mine did I finally allow myself to smile. For the first time, from the heart. The old couple held a baby each, their eyes gleaming with pure happiness. "George," they said, "you and Willow, go. Do what you need to. We've got the kids." And looking at them, I softened. For a moment, the frustration, the suffocating pressure of business, all of it melted away under the warmth of that scene. And that terrified me, because I knew how easily I could fall into it, into love, into family, into needing it. So I pulled back. I fled. Willow's parents loved so effortlessly. If it had been left to me, I would have raised monsters like myself. But the business didn't pause. We restructured, rebranded, and revenue doubled. Our products went head-to-head with the Wang Group's pride and joy. Under my relentless push, the empire began to rut. Operations stalled. Employees abandoned ship. Stocks tanked. And when my mother came to confront me, I had just finished transferring power to a new CEO, preparing to crush yet another Wang subsidiary. She threw her purse on the floor, screaming, "What are you trying to do?" I stayed calm. Nothing much. Just think it's time the Wang Group found a new owner. Her face went pale. "George, no, you can't. Your father and I finally have peace. That woman is dead. Why destroy what's left of us?" I smirked. "Oh, but I will." Her voice cracked, shrill, as she hurled a bag at me. "You're forcing me to die. You've married Willow, inherited wealth, built a life. Why can't you stop? Why?" I pinned her down with ease, my voice sharp as ice. "You want to know why? Because watching you three, so happy, so united, disgusts me." She collapsed, begging, humiliated. And I stood above her, tall, detached, almost regal. "Mom," I said, "back then I told you either lock me in a psych ward and finish me off, or one day I'll turn the world upside down. And when I do, you'll never know peace again." Years passed. Willow came to see me off before I left for the branch office. Her voice was soft. "Come back soon." I smiled bitterly. "If I come back late, won't that give you more time with your boyfriend?" She bit her lip. "That ended long ago." I walked away. But just before my flight, she texted, "Come back soon. Let's live a good life together." A good life. Maybe in the next one. It took 4 years to tear down the Wang Group. Piece by piece, I drove Martin out, until the empire bore only one name, George Wang. No bastard sons left to steal what was mine. Martin, ragged, spat venom at me. "You're despicable. A monster. You even destroyed your own blood." I smirked. "Despicable? Heartless? That's called strategy, you idiot. Maybe try growing a brain next time." Security dragged him out while I straightened my tie and signed off the papers that sent my parents into a private psychiatric ward. Turns out, I grinned, being your blood relative does have its perks. "Isn't this what you once did to me?" I fixed my mother's collar gently, almost mockingly. "Didn't you always worry Dad would cheat? Relax. He's locked away now. No pretty nurses for him to chase." I looked down at her hollow eyes. "You had decades of comfort, decades of playing the lovesick fool, and I was the one forced to suffer. Maybe if you'd loved me back then, I'd be different today. But you didn't. And so I built this. My empire. My curse. My blessing." I leaned closer. "And now, it's your turn to suffer." I slid a piece of paper across the table. "That's my mother-in-law's number. Willow's mom. Go ask her yourself." He gripped it tight, his knuckles white. "You really don't care." I leaned back, spread my hands, a slow smile tugging at my lips. "If you're dead set on destroying yourself, why should I stop you?" His laugh was sharp. "Bitter? Fine. Let's see who laughs last." That evening, I walked into the house with 2 oversized stuffed animals in my arms. My kids came running. tiny hand clutching at my legs, voices spilling over each other. Daddy, Daddy, you're home. Mommy almost got beat to death. I chuckled, watching them wobble under the weight of toys bigger than they were. Stay out of grown-up business. Take your sister to the basement and play with the dolls. My boy puffed his chest, saluted. Yes, sir, Dad. Mission accepted. Inside, the storm was still raging. Willow's face was swollen from slaps, her voice trembling as she cried, I never slept with him. The new mother's rage was shaking her whole body. If you didn't cheat, then why is he saying those kids are his? Willow's scream cracked the air. They're George's. If you don't believe me, let's do a DNA test. Just as she was about to be struck again, I finally spoke. I believe her. And only then did the storm fall silent. But the silence didn't heal her. Willow's injuries were so severe she had to be hospitalized. And when she finally came home, I didn't go back to her bed. I buried myself in another room, buried myself in Wake. The Wang family's business was back in my hands, and I was drowning in the rebuilding. One night, Willow appeared in my office. Her voice broke before her words did. I swear I never slept with him. I only helped him with money because I was angry at you. I wanted to provoke you. I wanted to see if you'd care. But you didn't. You were cold. Just like Martin said, you never loved me. You only came to me because of the Liu family. I looked up from my computer. My voice was steady, almost attached. Honestly, Willow, if you hadn't brought this up, I would have forgotten the whole thing. I've been too busy to even remember what we had. And Martin's right. I came to you with an agenda. I paused, staring at her. You people are always talking about loving someone for who they are, not what they have. But what even is a true self? What you see, what you feel, it's always just surface. Personality, values, education, none of it is essence. And if essence can't ever be truly known, how can you build love on it? Love is always for the exterior, for the surface. There is no such thing as falling for someone's true self. My voice softened. No, Willow, I didn't love you for who you are, but I did save your life. Can't we at least get along as family? You're a good mother. The kids adore you. The truth was, with everything at stake, I couldn't afford a divorce scandal. Not now. Not with the company's stock balance on a knife's edge. Her lashes lowered, her voice hoarse, breaking. George, we're supposed to be lovers. Family is one thing, but I'm the one you're supposed to love. I lit a cigarette, staring out at the fortune tree swaying outside the window. My tone was gentle, almost coaxing. Let's just make do, Willow. Plenty of couples live with polite distance. At the very least, we're both capable. Let's build something bigger for our children. The words poured out of me like a speech. Think about those parents who waste their lives, hoping their kids will become successful. That won't be us. We'll be the success. We'll be the dragon and phoenix they look up to. For a moment, I drowned out all the sadness in the room with ambition. Talking so much, my throat went dry. Even if it's just for the kids, Willow, don't you think it's worth it? But she turned away, refusing to look at me, drowning in her own sorrow. I sighed, weary. All right then. I'll get back to work. When you're done crying, check on the kids. Tomorrow we've got an early meeting. Don't let emotions ruin your job. And right then, Lisa, the housekeeper, walked in with tea. She saw Willow's tears and began stomping in frustration. Madam, if you're going to cry, do it in your room. Don't disturb the young master's work. You're a grown woman. Stop acting like a child. I hid a smirk. Lisa had said everything I wanted to. She'd earned a raise, my mouth double. And with that, I turned back to the glow of my laptop. Another day, another night, another hustle. For the kids.